the day the dusty quilt lifted.
Dusty quilt. It was the kind of quiet that ate sound, that chewed up the laughter and the hammering, the very voice of her man, Ben. Ben, who had gone to the creek one day to fish and never come back. Just gone, like a whisper in a hurricane. Maggie sat on her porch swing, sun up to sundown sometimes, and she'd rock, 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 trying to catch the rhythm of the life she'd lost. It was just quiet now, so very quiet. The town of Harmony Creek said their condolences and brought their casseroles, but soon enough, they went back to their own lives. Maggie didn't blame them. Life keeps moving like the river that took Ben, but Maggie felt stuck right there on the bank. She just couldn't breathe right. Her lungs felt tight, like they were wrapped in an old linen bandage. Every inhale was a chore. Every exhale felt like letting go of a hope she didn't know she still held. She just couldn't breathe right. One sweltering July afternoon, a strange thing happened. Maggie was tending to her wilting petunias, the only thing she still watered with any enthusiasm, when she saw it. A glint, a flash of something unnatural, nestled in the dark soil beneath her rosebush. It wasn't a river stone. It wasn't a bottle cap. It was a small wooden bird, carved with exquisite, impossible detail. Its tiny wings were spread, ready for flight. Maggie picked it up. The wood was warm, almost pulsing. It felt personal. Ben used to carve little things, whistles, spoons, a small, lopsided dog that sat on their mantelpiece. But Ben had never been this good. This bird was a masterpiece, too refined for his rough hands. She turned it over and over, feeling a strange tingle move from her fingertips right up to her collarbone. The air around her seemed to shimmer, just for a moment. She brought the bird inside and set it on the kitchen table. It felt wrong to put it anywhere else, like it needed to be honored. The quiet, that heavy, dusty quilt, seemed to shift, just slightly. Maggie started doing things she hadn't done in months. She scrubbed the floors. She baked a small, sweet loaf of cornbread. She didn't know why, but the presence of the little wooden bird seemed to demand a clean, living space. It made her take a deeper breath. She could almost breathe right. The next day, there was another one. This one was a tiny fish, a silver sliver of wood nestled perfectly on the top step of her front porch. Someone had placed it there while she slept. It was the same wood, the same artistry, but the fish looked like it was swimming, its eye a bead of polished jet. Fear, sharp and cold, mixed with a thrilling curiosity. Who was doing this? And why were they leaving such intimate, beautiful gifts? Maggie's neighbor, a kindly but nosy woman named Ruth, came by with an extra pie. "Child, you look better," Ruth declared, her eyes sharp. "Got a little color back in your cheeks. You got yourself a bow." Maggie shook her head quickly, maybe a little too quickly. She didn't show Ruth the carvings. She couldn't explain the feeling that these were not gifts from a casual admirer. These were messages, secret little messages. The pattern continued. A carved acorn one day, placed inside her empty mailbox. A perfect, wooden daisy resting on her pillow the next. Each piece was a quiet masterpiece, more skilled and more loving than the one before. Maggie started leaving her own messages, small, nonverbal pleas. She'd leave a glass of cool water on the porch railing, hoping to quench a secret thirst. She'd leave a single, white ribbon tied to her gatepost. "Tell me who you are." The gifts stopped for 3 long, agonizing days. The quiet returned, heavier than before, bringing with it a cruel new shadow of loneliness. Maggie felt the bandage tightening around her lungs again. She sat on her porch swing, rocking, and she wept. She wept not just for Ben, but for the loss of this strange, new connection, this silent promise of life. "Don't go, don't leave me alone again." On the morning of the 4th day, there was a knock. Not the quick, familiar rap of Ruth, but a slow, hesitant double tap. Standing on her porch was a man she had never seen before. He was tall, lean, with kind, dusty hands and eyes the color of the deep river water. His name, he said, was Elias. He was an itinerant carpenter, passing through, looking for a bit of work. Elias was a man of few words, but his hands spoke volumes. He fixed the wobbly railing on her porch, mended the loose shingle on her roof, and all the while, he whistled a tune Maggie almost recognized. A tune Ben used to hum while he shaved. Maggie watched him, her heart thumping a strange, irregular beat. His eyes never met hers for long, always focused on the wood, the nail, the task. One evening, as the sun dripped orange and pink behind the oak trees, Maggie finally worked up the nerve. "Elias," she said, her voice a little shaky. "You carve, don't you? Fine, delicate things." He stopped hammering, his arms suspended in the air. He looked at her then, truly looked at her, and the river water eyes were full of sorrow, full of something she couldn't name. He nodded, a slow, grave movement. "Sometimes, ma'am, when the wood tells me to." He didn't offer a denial. He didn't offer an explanation. The suspense was unbearable. A rope pulled taut between them. Maggie's mind raced. Was he the one? Did he know Ben? She walked inside, her steps purposeful, and brought out the wooden bird. She placed it in his calloused palm. Elias closed his fingers around the carving like he was holding something sacred and fragile. "This is a lovely piece," he murmured. "The balance is fine. Whoever made it poured their own spirit into the work." He didn't say, "I made it," but he didn't have to. The way he held it, the reverence in his touch, was enough. He knew this bird. Maggie sank onto the swing, rocking, rocking. The realization was a sudden, fierce wind in her sails. He knew Ben. Perhaps they had met at the creek. Perhaps this was an old friend, leaving tokens of shared grief. She spoke the thought aloud. "Did you know my husband, Ben?" Elias finally sat beside her, the swing creaking softly under their weight. Elias looked out at the darkening fields. He took a long, shaky breath, and the tension in the air snapped. I was there, ma'am," he whispered, his voice thick with guilt. "At the creek. I saw. I tried to help. I couldn't save him. The river was too fast. I didn't tell you because I was ashamed. I've been leaving the carvings, not as a gift, but as a silent apology. Every piece is a thing I wish I could have done for him. For you." The confession hung between them, heavy and raw. Maggie felt a strange relief, a clearing of the fog that had haunted her for months. The mystery wasn't a romance. It was a burden of guilt shared. Elias had carried his grief, and she had carried hers. Now they could lay them down together. She reached out and gently took his hand. His hands were warm. "You couldn't save him," Maggie said, her voice surprisingly steady, the rhythm of the porch swing helping her find the words. "But you saved me, Elias. You left me beautiful things when my world was ugly. You gave me something to look forward to. You made me clean my house. You made me start to live again." She squeezed his hand, and she leaned her head back, looking up at the first scattered stars. For the first time since Ben had gone, Maggie inhaled deeply, filling her lungs to capacity. It was a full, easy, cleansing breath. She finally, truly, learned to breathe again.
Blanket on my shoulders and I was all undone. There's freedom in the hush of letting go, and sorrow tucked inside every row. The day the dusty quilt lifted, I couldn't breathe right for a while.